It was so dark, and Dalet had gone to meet up with Charles, and they planned a mission to rob a bank. But Dalet wasn't the one to think of this. It was all Charles, and he came up with this plan. Dalet was just there to listen to it. He's sitting in a chair, and right across from him is Charles, and the doorbell rings. And Dalet goes to the door, and there stand two friends of Charles. They were just letting them know that they were going to be in the car when they were ready to go. As Dalet and Charles head to the car, they stopped and looked at each other, and Charles explained to Dalet that he would be capable of doing this mission because he had felt a vibe from Dalet, that he was second-guessing himself. Charles was just there to make sure Dalet followed through. They all go to the same car, and one friend is the driver, and the other is just there to keep a lookout. Charles and Dalet are the only ones that are going to be robbing the bank. They arrive at the bank, and Dalet goes in first. When Dalet enters first, 5 minutes later, Charles is supposed to arrive inside. When Charles comes into the bank and gives Dalet a sign, Dalet becomes panicked, and he tries to keep his distance from Charles because he's just that type of nutjob to criticize everything. Dalet then pretends to be busy, and this happens.
Everybody get down!
Yeah, everyone, get the hell down.
Someone needs to tell me where the money is, now!
As Dalet is scoping the place out, he sees this woman, and she's looking at him as if it was love at first sight. Dalet also looks back at her with the same look.
Dalet, get over here. What are you doing? With that girl, you're supposed to be helping me rob this place.
Dalet goes up to Charles and says,
I don't think I can do this, man.
If you don't do what I tell you, I will kill you. I didn't plan this for nothing. You will do what I say.
Dalet goes back to help Charles. As he goes, he looks back at this beautiful girl, and he tries to recognize every single detail about her. As he's looking at her, he comes across her name tag, and it reads, Riva. Riva looks at Dalet and gets this vibe that he's being forced to do this because Dalet ends up going to talk to her.
Hey, I know this is bad timing, but you're so beautiful.
Yeah, aren't you supposed to be robbing this place? Why are you still talking to me?
Dalet is so madly in love with this girl. He doesn't even know, but little does he know, she's fallen for him as well. As weird as it sounds, Dalet takes her to the bathroom so that Charles doesn't catch him off his game. As Riva and Dalet are in the bathroom, he tries to explain to her that he's trying his best to please Charles, and he really doesn't want to be doing what they're currently doing. Riva is so confused, and she just doesn't understand why he agreed with him in the first place. But all Dalet had to say was, if he hadn't, then he wouldn't have met her. As the day starts to end, still no one knows that Dalet and Charles are robbing this bank. There's no cops. There's no one. When Charles finally gets the door open, he sees Dalet holding Riva by the neck. Dalet then says to Riva,
I know you know where the rest of the money is. Now tell me where it is.
Please stop. I don't know where the rest is. Let me go.
Charles feels amazed at Dalet and how he's so into this robbery. So Charles directs Dalet where to put Riva in the bank. Riva is now near the exit, and Dalet is keeping an eye on her to make sure nothing happens to her. Dalet then sees Charles is ready to flee the scene. Dalet then gives Riva the signal to run. Riva makes a break for the door, and she makes it out. As she makes it out, she bumps into the friend that is on the lookout. He gets a hold of Riva, and Dalet sees that she's in trouble, so he sees the opportunity to run. Dalet pushes open the two heavy doors and sprints like there's no tomorrow. Dalet runs outside and sees Riva in the hands of the man. He runs up and boom! Dalet tackles the man and Riva is free. She gets up with the help of Dalet and they both run. Charles knew that he should have stuck with his gut, that Dalet was never the man for the job. He just stopped because he knew Dalet's father that he had to be the man for the job. But that wasn't the case. Turns out Dalet didn't want to steal the money. He wanted to steal a girl. And that's what he got. That's the only thing he wanted out of this whole thing. Dalet is just not a good thief, like his father was. All Dalet would be is a man that ran away with the love of his life and lived happily ever after.